Hey guys, welcome back to Indie Game Hustle. In this video, we're going to take a look at a new tool for UModeler, and this tool is an AI tool. So this AI tool is going to give you the ability to import your Meshy.ai objects or your generated 3D objects directly into Unity. But not only the ones that are generated on Meshy.ai, but also you can generate them directly in the Unity engine using UModeler's new tool. So we're going to take a look over at Meshy.ai just to kind of get a general sense of what it is if you're not familiar with it. It's all the rage. Basically, you are able to generate 3D objects from an image. I know it's crazy, but it's there and it's here, and AI is taking over, and we can go ahead and go home. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, seriously, it is really cool. It's really crazy. And I've already myself personally found that it does speed up production. It speeds up when you're trying to make something and you just need like a base model just to get something started. It makes it super easy, and it's the future. It's not going anywhere either. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at how it works. So here on Meshy.ai, once you have an account and a few coins, basically, or credits, they're going to give you a bunch of credits to kind of try it out anyway. And from my experience, they've actually provided you with a lot of credits to kind of work with. And I'll kind of show you how that works. But this here is like the community page if you just want to kind of see what other people are making. And this is where it's really strong. It's really powerful to be able to see what people are currently making with it. And you don't even have to like make anything yet because these are actually made here. So for instance, let's find something that looks, I guess, pretty interesting. This character, let's look at this character here. So if I click this here, you can already just rotate it. You can zoom in, basically just like any 3D engine or whatever. You can rotate around it and look at it up close. There's enough detail there to work with, I think. If you're a sculptor, like you can really like use this to kind of get you started. I think that's really cool. And then up here on the top, you have the ability to turn wireframe on. So this one has like 700,000 faces and triangles. So that's pretty dense. But this is your starting point, right? And you can turn it off. You can look at the color. So this is like, I think the PBR texturing, and this is without it. And so this is just straight, like just the color, base color there. And we're back to the gray mode. This is the image that was used to generate that. So that's pretty cool to kind of see that. And so, yeah, it's really great. And it's almost like Meshy.ai is like a community, it's like a social, almost kind of like a social engine, right? You can leave comments. You have a whole account where you're creating stuff and uploading, using Meshy just to kind of get your meshes going. This is real detailed considering. Yeah, just using Meshy just to get your models going, I think is pretty cool. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and close this. You can close this, and you can, of course, just continue to look at a bunch of different things. You got this robot here. That looks pretty cool. Let's take a look at that. Oh, that looks nice. I mean, it's pretty detailed. I would obviously say that, you're not going to be animating the fingers in this particular one, but it's because the image was exactly this. So what I would say is what you can do is just provide the image with his fingers open or in a T pose. And what you would probably do is just go ahead and take this into another AI image, like Nano Banana or something, and explain that you want this character in a T pose in a particular view, and then bring that into here. And I'll probably come across some better examples of that here. Look at this one here. Let's see if this one would exactly. So this is a good example of like more like a T pose, and you can kind of go from there. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. Yeah. So anyway, obviously 3D AI generated 3D is come a long way. And Meshy.ai has done a great job here on their website to display that. Of course, there are other brands out there, but there's Triple.ai. You can use something like Comfy UI. That's a bit more complicated, and I could probably have that in another video. I have been playing with Comfy UI as well, where you can generate 3D objects directly on your PC. You just want to make sure that you have a GPU with enough video memory, like 12 gigs and up, to be able to do that. So yeah, so let's take a look at actually generating something. So actually, funny thing, you can actually use an image that someone else's has, because these images are free to use. So I'll take this one, for example, and you can do a remix. So at the bottom here, you can actually click remix. And once you click remix, I believe it's going to, yeah, there we go. So the image kind of goes here. And what you can do is now you can actually do your own here. So I'm going to have it set to private. I typically do, since I have an account. But if you have a free account, it's going to be basically free to use for anybody. So I'm not going to do that. I just leave everything on private. And then you have other settings here. Now they have Meshy 6, Meshy 5, and Meshy 4. I'm not familiar with the 4. I've only used the 5 and 6. So let's go ahead and just use Meshy 6 in this case as an example. Our steampunk adventurer here. And if we hit generate, it's going to generate 20 credits. So it's going to use 20 credits from your allotted there, and it's going to output. So I'll go ahead and hit generate, and we'll let that run. And once we do that, it's going to create a task, as you can see here. And once it's doing that, it's going to start generated. It has a nice countdown here, or count up percentage, letting you know what percentage it is until it's done and ready. Now, while you're doing that, you can go look at a bunch of other things while you're doing that. It's not going anywhere. And so even while I'm looking at this object, it's nice, I can still look at some other things that were generated using this. And so it's at 60%. There you go. It's moving along quite nicely. And so this is just me kind of playing around with some other models. I've deleted a bunch of stuff here too recently. So, all right, it's already done. So I'll go ahead and click here. And so look at that. So there's our object there. And that looks, I guess, pretty good. Yeah, I would say it looks pretty good. And so what we can do now, there's a bunch of other things. So if your mesh didn't have everything, like if there was some things wrong with it, I have some retries here. I can texture it now. I can remesh it. I can rig it. You can do some other things here. I don't use a lot of these, but so if I want to do a texture, if I click texture, it takes us to the texture mode, and we basically can do a texture input, or we can use the same image to texture this object. So what I can do is go to Meshy 5. I can even do Meshy 4, but we'll just go ahead and do Meshy 6, and we can generate those PBR maps as well. So if I hit texture, we're going to go ahead and do that, and we'll let that run. And so if we can let that run, and while that's running, you can just kind of see other things like this table, for instance. Pretty straightforward table. I mean, it's just a table. 800 tries or faces there. Not too bad. I think you could, this table doesn't really need 800 faces, I think, if we were modeling in this from scratch. But I mean, if you didn't have time and it worked and the performance was still good in your engine, I would say run with it. So it really depends on your situation, if that's going to work or not. And this is the texturing still, so 28% is still running. And we'll just go ahead and I'll skip the video and let that speed up. All right, and we're at 99%, almost done. And so once that's at 99%, we can click on that. And once it's done, 100%, there we go. So I'm going to click that now, let it load and turn off wireframe, and there's that model. And so that's really cool. I mean, right out the gate, that's really awesome that you can do this. And there is no I mean, I would be hard pressed to see a reason not to use this, or to at least use it to speed up your process when you're doing like at least like sculpting. I mean, you're like 90% there. I mean, I think obviously like the belts and those types of things are probably going to cause a lot of issues with this, but for the most part, I mean, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. So yeah, looking at this, that's pretty great. Now we can do a remesh on this as well. We can retexture it. We can edit the texture. So I'll show you that. That's pretty cool. So I'm not going to say I'm 100% on how to use it, but say we want to kind of clean some of this stuff up. We can like go in here and go into like the brush tool and say I want to kind of clean this up. I don't know. Let's see what happens. There we go. So that's pretty cool. So it's like a healing brush, kind of similar like Photoshop. So say we want to kind of clean that up a little bit. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So it just kind of cleans up the little spots here. We don't maybe want that on the texture. It's pretty cool. Let's see how much more we can get rid of. And mind me, I'm still new to this, but it seems to be working pretty good, I would say. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So you can just use this to kind of touch up some of your objects, textures, kind of clean that up. It's using AI to do most of this stuff anyway. So, and there's other things like stamp tool, healing brush, solid paint. So if you want like an actual color, I guess you can do that. We don't want that though. Can I get rid of that one? I got rid of everything. Anyway, so you can use that to do that. That's pretty cool. I'll just get rid of something just to see how it goes. Boom. So say we want to do that. We're good to go. Save the model. We apply it and then we save to the model and that will be gone. And so when you hit save to model, it's just going to redo the texturing for it. And I'm not sure how long that's going to take, but you don't have to sit and wait for it. You can go do a bunch of other things. You can import more things, etc., etc. So this is pretty cool. This is Meshy.ai. I would say definitely take a look at it. We can dive into the details later. I have some ideas of how this can really work. The remesh option honestly works pretty good. It looks like that change is done. So now that part is gone that we had in this one, as you can see. So you can kind of switch back and forth, and it keeps all of your flow as you start. So for wherever you start it, you can keep it going all the way until you get a finished output here. So say for instance, this model is good. So you're like, I want to remesh it. So you can hit remesh. And on the remesh side, you can actually do fixed or added adaptive. You can do fixed and set a particular poly count. So say 15,000 is where you kind of want to sit, and you can do quads or triangle. let's do 10,000. Actually, let's be courageous here and do 8,000 for tries for this character and see how it goes. It's probably gonna look terrible, but we're gonna at least give it a try and hit confirm there. So again, as soon as I'm doing that, it's now gonna remesh this character down to 8,000, but that doesn't mean we get rid of this. If we don't like this output, we can go back and actually redo that remesh. So that's pretty cool. So I'll go ahead and let that finish, and I will go ahead and see you guys once it's done. All right, so it looks like it's finished remeshing. So if we click that here, so this is the remesh version. So obviously there's some issues here, right? The textures are kind of all jacked up on the side. It's like reflecting the image of the hand there. The faces, it's there, it's just not detailed, right? And so that's what it's gonna look like. And if we wanna really see, that's kind of what it looks like. But it is a lower poly version of this. And if you really want to edit this guy here, you can go in and do the texture cleanup. So if I did that edit texture again, and I zoom in, I don't know if this, again, if this was in T-pose, we probably wouldn't be having this issue, right? So, but since we are not in T-pose, let's just go ahead and use that brush tool. And I'm just gonna go ahead and try to paint in the areas where that caused that issue just to see if it fixes it or not. And that's not a great fix. Again, I think you would want to make sure that your object or your character is in some type of T-pose, and before you do that and whatnot. So, but this is still good. I think it's still usable if you can find a way to use it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Maybe generate characters in A pose. Hey, look, it's right there. We're gonna do it. Be honest with you, because I didn't even realize that was there. Let's see if it actually does it. So I'm gonna put this here, and then I'm gonna hit generate because I'm gonna use these credits for you guys. So let's go ahead and see that happen. Let's see if it actually works. So, and let's just make sure generate characters in A pose or T pose stance. Will it actually do that? I don't think so. I feel like it's just saying, I don't know. Let's hit generate. Let's find out. All right, so it's all done, and look at that. So it's created a new one, and look at that. It is in some type of T pose. Now those hands aren't the greatest, but it ain't the worst. But it is a T pose, guys. So, I can't be mad. That's pretty cool. And so, yeah, that's pretty great. And so then we can go, of course, and apply texture to this. I don't know how the textures would apply. I will do Meshy.ai textures on this. Let's see if we do Meshy.ai, because you can generate a Meshy 6 and then use Meshy.ai to generate the texture. Let's see what happens with that. It's pretty cool. And I'll hit texture, and then let's go ahead and wait for this to finish. All right, so it looks like it's finished texturing, and let's take a look at the result. All right, so Notepad, it's a little different. We used Meshy 5, I think, for the texture for this one. It's a little different. Yeah, it's just different. Yeah, it looks okay. It's not as good, I feel, but again, this is the start of something pretty cool. I think if you look at these ones here, actually this one, that looks so much better. So I would probably go with this one. So that's Meshy 6 versus the Meshy 5. Maybe there's something out there. If you're used to using Meshy.ai, you can tell me if there's something I did wrong. But at the end of the day, that's pretty good. It turned it into a T-pose. So I think that's pretty cool. So anyway, yeah, I mean, using Meshy.ai is pretty viable. And you can remesh, you can do animation. We can do that for another day. I have not played with that yet. You can do images as well here. I don't actually use the image editing here. I use Leonardo for that one. So I just bring my images here if I need to, but yeah. So with that said, let's head over to Unity and see how this works with Meshy. So now we're here in Unity, and within Unity, UModeler has a new tool with the newest update, and you might have already noticed it. It's on the screen right in front of you here. It's this right here in the toolbar. You see this AI. When you click that, you're going to see the UModeler X Gen3D option. I already have my API key connected. That's the only way that you're going to be able to utilize the this particular option to be able to pull your Meshy content into the Unity environment. You're going to have to get your Meshy.ai API key, and to connect your Meshy.ai to this, you would just need to head over to Meshy.ai and get into your settings and just look for your API code. You might have to go ahead and hit generate a new one. Since you've never done it before, you just got to hit generate and it creates that API code, and then you will plug that into this area here. I'm not going to click it because I don't want you to see my API code that I'm currently using. Now, of course, you can always remove that API code and regenerate a new one as needed, but just for the sake of this, that's how it works. So once you are actually here And you can hit refresh here. It'll show whatever is new. So for instance, a couple of the models that we had are already kind of here. You can kind of see them behind there. So if I click to load data in this button here, you can see that mesh we just generated is right there. Great. And if I click this one, it's going to do the same thing. And once that's there, we click this, and then that one's going to be there as well. As you can see, looks great. All right, so let's take a trip around the window a little bit. We have the Meshy. As you can see, there's Tripo, but it is not here yet. You have some great options here to be able to see the different options here. You have the wire mesh, you have the PBR, the color, that sort of thing. But because this mesh is so dense, you're not going to be able to see all those details like that. So we got to turn that wireframe off. All right. And then you can change the lighting if you need to, increase it, decrease it, that sort of thing. You can rotate it, zooming in, zooming out, what you expect, right? You have your coin count, or I say coins, but basically your credits right here. And on the right side, you can actually do generations. So if you're in Meshy.ai and you're generating a bunch of stuff, you can just come in here and add those things to your project by clicking. Once you have it selected, you can click add to scene, and those are going to show up right here, right? But if you actually generate a mesh here within this window, which is great because you can also generate here without having to go all the way to Meshy.ai, you can do that here. So you got text to 3D, which we haven't tried yet. We can do image to 3D just like we did over there. You can do remeshing here as well. You can do texturing as well using all the same outputs, just like before. And you got the web. Those are all the web. So if you generate here, so I'm going to generate something here. For instance, let's do text to 3D, and we can just say sports car. I don't know how, 4 wheels. I mean, all cars have 4 wheels. Let's go with a dark red. Let's see, what else do we want? I don't know, 4 wheels, dark red, I think could work out. Let's just see what it gives us, and we'll do a Meshy 6 output, and we'll make it realistic. We don't need pose on. We want to do tries because why not? And poly count, we'll leave it at 30,000. Yeah, and we'll leave symmetry on and leave that there. So that's going to cost us 20 credits there. And so I'm going to hit generate, and let's see what happens. All right, so they got the little spinning thing here, and we're just going to wait for that to finish. And you're going to have this little indicator here that's going to let us know once that's been completed. And I will see you guys once it's been completed. All right, so it looks like our car is done. All right, so what do we get here? It's a sports car, and I'm not much of a car person myself, but this is pretty basic. The wheels are all together, so I would say that could work as something in the background. The wheels are not going to rotate, but it's there. I also noticed I said dark red, but of course we're just generating the mesh, not the texture. So there's the catch there, right? So what we're going to have to do is also texture it. So I think we can texture it. And so let's see if that's going to work. We'll just say sports car, 4 wheels, dark red. I'll just use the text again and hit generate and see if that works. And I'll see you guys once that completes. All right, and so now it's finished. And what we're going to do is take a look here. If I click here, there's the image there, and here's our 3D model. Looks okay. So what we can do is add this to our scene by clicking this button here, and we're just going to go ahead and let that work there. There it is already, and there you have it. And so I'm going to go ahead and close this window. And so now you can see this object directly in the scene already ready to go. It looks pretty nice. I would say it looks pretty good, I would say. And there's some things and some details I would say we can work on with this, but that is a fully meshed car in your scene for something I would say you can add to the back. But the cool part about this, if you haven't noticed, is that this mesh is also already a UModeler X mesh. So if we wanted to further edit this, we can remesh it if we needed to. We can decimate it if we want to. We can do some additional painting to it. So if I was to click on 3D painting, I can actually start painting on it and start really kind of going in and making those changes. So I can go in and I can paint on this car if I want to, whatever we want to. So it's really cool that we can do this directly in the engine. I'm not going to keep you guys too much longer here. I am going to open back the AI. And if you noticed here, if you click on this here where it says web, it's only going to show the ones that you did in the, if you turn the web off and you have the project left on, then these are the ones we made in the project. If we turn that off and turn the web, these are the ones we made on web. Pretty cool. I really like that feature. That's really great. And you can just kind of see and focus on what really matters. So for instance, if we want to add our character female here to the scene, we can click add to scene and we can add this character to the scene here. So we'll just go ahead and let that load up. All right. And it looks like it's done. So I'll bring this down. And so there's our character there. I'll go ahead and delete this asset here. We don't really need this in the scene here. And now we have this here. So that's pretty cool that we have her in the scene, and that's amazing. And so, yeah, there's a lot you can do with this. And of course, if this was in T-pose and it had all the full details that we're looking for, we can go ahead and get this rigged directly inside of with UModeler. Actually, you can rig and you can paint and you can do some editing with that as well. So just like we were editing in Meshy.ai, you can do some editing here as well and do some additional painting on this model. Just like we were messing with the car, everything is here. So yeah, there's some really cool stuff you can do with this. If you decide you wanted to add some paint layers and whatnot. And I just brought in a random one. I don't know which model this is, if this is the high poly one or the low poly one. But I would say you would want this to be obviously in T-pose and go from there. But yeah, it's really cool. This is just an introductory video, really just taking a quick look at the UModeler X Gen3, taking a look at Meshy.ai, and starting to kind of have that conversation around like, are you guys using 3D generated AI assets? Are you guys utilizing it? How are you going about it? I think some of the things that come across my mind is really the topology. That's going to be probably one of the hardest things you would have to deal with when it comes to dealing with Meshy and other AI generated content, is dealing with the topology of the object. There are some good ones out there. I would say stick with Meshy. Meshy is pretty nice. You have really a lot of fine control. You can directly use it in Unity with UModeler X. So I think that is really nice to see and use, and it's easy. Me trying it out for the community and just kind of getting there and using it for myself, using it to kind of show you guys. There's lots of Meshy.ai videos out there. So if this one isn't too detailed, feel free to look at some of the other ones and kind of get the sense. But you know, you can use it yourself. I think they give you free credits, I think monthly, if I'm not mistaken. So you can definitely go try it out and see for yourself. But yeah, that's pretty much it. This is an update for UModeler X that they added the AI component, and I think it's only getting better from here. There are some other updates for UModeler X. You might have noticed this new toolbar here where you can UModelize, combine, and do separate parts and things like that. This just makes it really easy because these are kind of some of the main tools that you as a game developer or just a user of Unity in UModeler X, you would want to use these. So these are kind of right up front for you to kind of touch on and use. And these are kind of the ones that I would use all the time, especially pivot, combining, right? UModelizing. like separating, like all of these are really the tools that I would use almost immediately. So these are just right here. And we can go into this toolbar later. That's just kind of showing you that the UI is changing a little bit to really help with your workflow and what you are doing. So with all that said, I will see you guys in another video. We're going to talk more AI. We're going to talk about a bunch of other stuff. What are you guys using for AI? Are you using Comfy UI? Because that one's really cool. I've been playing with that one. I'll show that off later. Are you using Trippo? There's a lot of other options out there. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys are using. Do you find it useful? Or do you think 3D is going to make you irrelevant? Is it making you better? Is it making you a faster person in like what you do? Because you may not be making games. You might be making like, I don't know. You be making all types of stuff. Unity is like, you can use it for so many different things and so many different industries that games is not the only industry. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys are doing with it. I'll see you in the next video.